Welcome to episode 307 of the Center Ring Esports podcast presented by Alt. This is going to be the best episode ever. We survived the Texas blizzard, and we have stories to tell. Had to take a week off, involuntarily, mind you. So we'll update everyone on that. Also, a lot to catch up to. Got some Katowice to talk about. We missed a preview there, so thanks a lot, Nature. Also, Blizzcon happened. Have to give our thoughts on that. And a lot of other stuff. Valorant, packed e-news, packed Yikes of the week. It's a big show. We missed a week. Lots to get to. But before we get to any of that, let me tell you about the show sponsor in Alt. AltEsports.com is where you need to go right now and pick yourself up a top-of-the-line esports apparel. Their Reset collection is brand spanking new. You can get that. Call of Duty League merch is available. It is Super Week, so what a better time to go and pick up yourself some Call of Duty League merch. Represent your favorite team. They are partnered with Sentinels, as they just qualified for the NA Masters in Valorant, so go ahead and represent them as well. Do all of that, altesports.com.
My name is Anthony Method-Zenny. I play for the Toronto Ultra. I go by the name Chef Tony on weekends, and you are watching the Center Ring podcast.
Okay, so let's start.
Hello, everybody. Hello. And welcome back to the Center Ring. Episode 307 coming to you live and or pre-recorded from an undisclosed location. The date, 2/22/2021. Say that 5 times fast. The time is 9:24 p.m. Late as balls, but what else is new? Take a week off, but we're already in mid-stride being late for the show, so didn't miss a beat, Anuj. Didn't miss a beat. Go ahead and follow us on Twitter at The Center Ring. Our Discord is in the link there, as well as our Patreon. If you want to go ahead and support the show, feel free to do so. We would love and appreciate you. But if you can't, still love and appreciate you all the same. Our website, tcr.gg, check that out. And our YouTube as well, as we're uploading our esports advisors before every CDL weekend matches. So we kind of go through our picks on who we're putting money on, a little bit of gambling, a little bit of fun, but mostly responsible. That's what the takeaway there is. So check that out on our YouTube as well. My name is Tim. I will be your captain for this journey into esports, and alongside me, as always, is my best friend, my brown friend. It's Anuj. What's up?
It's been too long, Tim. It's been too long. I feel like we've been gone for forever. This little blizzard coming out of nowhere really put a damper on things over here, you know?
Yeah, it's funny because we mentioned it last episode, jokingly saying, oh, by the way, it's supposed to get cold here. So, ha ha ha, Anuj might not be able to do a show because he might die because it's cold. And that really isn't that funny now. In retro, I guess we all live.
Rather close, it felt like.
Yeah. So
closer than I wanted to feel, you know?
It's
being cold is one thing, being cold with no heater is another thing.
Yeah, and that's what I'm more upset about. Like, because you know me, I love the cold. I love it. I would rather take the cold that we had last week over the heat that we're going to get in the summer.
It was -2. That's a difference between cold and like.
Well, there's also a difference between hot and 112.
Once it's over 100, doesn't matter.
I just want to die no matter what. It's
on either end. I'm not happy. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's just take away the power outages, take away the contaminated water. It would have just been a nice snow day. But first off, thank you to all the listeners who reached out in Discord or DMs or any way you did. Just making sure we were safe. Definitely appreciate that. It was interesting. It was a weird, again, just another one of these weird things that's happened, in the last year or two that we're just going to remember forever.
Well, it's funny. You and I were both talking about like the timing of our kids being born and kind of what they've experienced in such a short time, right? Like the last year has been pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Between COVID, politics, now you come into Texas having its coldest winter since 1898 or whatever they said it was, our coldest time that we've had. And like I said, being cold is one thing, being cold without power, water, that's a whole nother ball game. It's funny, I wanted to mention this because I saw it all over the internet and people kind of shitting on us for the most part, right? Like, dude, it's cold here all the time. I live in Minnesota, I live in South Dakota, whatever, like all this stuff. We all would have been fine if we had power.
Right.
Like
that's
that
what people
was
I
the
think
issue.
are failing to. First off, like you said, it's the first time it's been this cold since like the 1800s. So let's not act like we need to prep for it every year. We probably will now, right? Because once it happens to you, you're like, yeah, I definitely don't want this to happen again. Thankfully for me, we didn't lose power. So my house must be on a grid with something important.
Hospital or something.
Something. Or they know I live here and I'm the reason the grid doesn't turn on.
I mean, they're probably like, so TCR is address is like for mailing is all Tim's.
Yeah.
They had to know, like,
we gotta keep it up.
We can't shut this grid down.
They probably
it's
were
too
like,
important to everybody. And what they failed to realize is we don't record it in the same undisclosed location.
That's right. So you were on and off with power. I didn't. We both didn't have clean water for, I didn't have it for like 4 days or so. I think you were in the same boat, which that sucks. I mean, it's not the end of the world because you can boil it. We had plenty of clean water anyways, just because with children, we always keep gallons of water for emergency purposes anyways. So my wife and I are kind of cautiously prepared for anything all the time, no matter what. So we were fine, but it's still like it. I know a lot of people weren't. And like you were saying, got a lot of grief on Twitter and the internet for it. But again, it's like the first time in 100 years it's been like this. They're not going to like it in the, because I also lived in the north, right? I'm from Michigan. So I can speak on both sides of it. There is no prepping for negative degree weather with no electricity and no water. And it's not like here
the water was cut for us. It's not like it was just contaminated. They ended up shutting it off. So you no longer had running water in your home either.
Well, people don't realize too, it's like our winter attire in Texas is a hoodie. Like that's the winter coat.
Max, that even might be too much. Like sometimes just a normal long sleeve shirt like this is like more than enough.
Typically don't have to have a big jacket. So a lot of people don't even have winter clothes. The house is not prepped for it at all. Like, up north, you can, your pipes are in your basement most of the time. So you can go and like winterproof the pipes. And that's not the case here. So it was just the perfect storm, no pun intended, to just create this shit show. So also, it would be like going to California during all the wildfires and being like, I don't get it. Don't you guys have water to put it out? Why don't you just put some water on the fire? Isn't it that easy? Like people are like, if you're so cold, why don't you just put on a jacket? Like, oh, that's it.
I wish I thought of that.
That's what I forgot. So, and to everyone in the north laughing at us, let's just wait till I see your tweets when you have 2 days of 89 degree weather and you're like, it's a heat wave, and when you look and it's like 87 degrees for a week. It's like, okay.
People have passed out and
people are having heat strokes on the street because it's 89 degrees for 3 days in a row in New York. Like, it's all, no matter where you live, you have that one kryptonite condition to your living situation that no one preps for, and we just happen to have ours. But selfishly, it really did happen at a bad time for us personally, because it was like a monster week for esports, like just between Katowice, Valorant qualifiers, you had BlizzCon, Capcom season final, like so much happened. And
CDL was supposed to happen, you know.
CDL was supposed to happen, but like a lot of the teams are living in Texas anyway, so they said, you know what, for the best. And like, even though, and I know some people are like, well, I don't get it, Scump is streaming and stuff. There, like, again, there were certain areas that had power, but even like for us, we had power and we had internet, but you could definitely tell like the internet was not 100%. Like,
yeah, once it came back, the internet was all jacked up and we were getting disconnected.
or like
constantly.
even trying to
Which that all felt fine because it was like, well, at least I got my power back,
Right.
you know, at least the heat's on.
like even streaming this episode right now, I see that I'm dropping frames because of slow internet. So clearly the internet is not back 100%. So it was a mess, but thankfully we can do kind of a mini catch up here. It is Monday. So as tradition, let's get Yikes of the Week out of the way, as we have kind of a packed Yikes of the Week. We're doubling up. So obviously making up for not having a show last week and then this week. I'll start with mine because I never shy away from making fun of someone. James Banks, CS desk host, British, if you don't know, tweets about his ex-baby mama and their custody issues, which is always awkward. I hope it all works out, but at the same time, just from an outsider looking in, it's kind of like, okay, some dirty laundry that you're putting out there on social media. I'm not like that, Anuj. I'm very private, despite popular belief. I'm kind of private. Anyways, James Bank, he's also now the newly announced GM for
Alliance
Valorant team?
Yeah.
Alliance Valorant. Okay. So he is upset because the Valorant Championship Tour, he realized that he was snubbed from it. He was not asked to be a desk host. Now, he was told his involvement as a GM with a professional team would not affect his job availability with Riot. To me, that's kind of a yikes that he thought it wasn't going to affect his availability. You are in management. You're not like some streamer for a team, bro. You are the general manager for the team. Like, no shit, they're not going to have you working the desk for it as well.
It really didn't take Sherlock to figure that out either. You know what I'm saying? Like, that just seems so obvious that even if they're telling you, because maybe legally, yes, it might not, like, you could still potentially be a suitor for that role. When there are like there's a lot of talent right now in Valorant, right? Like a lot of people have switched over. A lot of people have kind of just sprung up and new talent. It's just there's plenty of options for them. And so why would you take somebody who's currently a GM? Like, it would make no sense to me had they taken him over somebody who is dedicated to it. And GM is just part of it. You know, he's also the desk host for Blast Premier in Counter-Strike. And so you're also with the competition. You're a general manager for a team in the game that you're trying to host on. It's a no-brainer that he didn't get picked to me. Like, I wouldn't be surprised at all by that announcement. So
in fact, I'm kind of surprised
that he mentioned it is, you know.
I was surprised to see him as a desk host for the recent Blast event, because I just figured when he became the GM of a team, that was him moving his career over to like the management professional side of things. And then I saw him still being a desk host in CS, and I was like, well, how does that work? Like, you're supposed to be a GM of a team, and yet you're still doing hosting gigs?
Yeah, I mean, my only thing then becomes like maybe his responsibilities with the team, like the title could be like slightly inflated, or it's just not that big of a role in that sense of what he's going to be doing for him. Maybe it's because to be a CS host, you also have to be pretty involved in watching the games, right? You can't bullshit your way through it. Like, you have to know what's going on. You got to know the players. You got to understand the storylines. You got to study the material. Like, that's a job in itself. Like, that's a difficult job to do, right? Like, as a caster or host. And so for him to be dedicated in doing that, like, that must have been a conversation he had with Blast before he even took the Alliance job, would be my guess, is like, can I do this but still keep this? Like, is that a yes, no? With the Valorant stuff, this is post his Alliance announcement. So again, no brainer for me that they I don't even call it a snub. It was a smart move.
He wants his cake and eat it too, and you can't have that.
Can't do that. Not all
Um,
the time.
let's go with one of your yikes.
All right, this is going to Amazon Game Studios. I'm waiting for the announcement here at some point that Amazon Game Studios is shut down. Like I have a feeling that that's not too far away. They've done a great job with Twitch, and for the most part, like I feel like they've done a pretty good job of expanding its platform, using its reach with all that stuff. When it comes to making games, Tim, they can't get it right. And once again, New World has been delayed. That is Amazon's MMO that was supposed to release last year, got delayed until spring of this year, and now delayed again until August 31st. The only potential saving grace here, Tim, is this game was trash when I played it last year. They opened it up and allowed people to play it. It was garbage. So if it's taken them a year to redo mechanics, game systems, the only thing that was like semi okay, I guess, were the graphics were fine, but everything else was really just a hot mess. So hopefully there's some good that comes out of this, but it's just one of those things. You've already delayed it 6 months, and now we're talking about another 4 or 5. It's just always going to be a yikes in my book. Don't put a date out there at some point with MMOs, especially, right? Like Star Citizen is the ultimate example of that. There's plenty of games that have tried to put some sort of like
we were just
an
talking
expectation
before
on that.
We were just talking before recording that City of Titans, which is like the predecessor of Cities of Heroes, because Cities of Heroes shut down, and Cities of Heroes. That was like my game. I was so involved in that game, and I've been waiting for City of Titans for quite a long time, and I really feel like I'm still, but they never put a date. So it's like, okay, I
just feel like with MMOs, it's always a terrible idea to have a date.
It's
so much changes.
What's the saying of watching a boy, like something about watching water will never boil, something like that.
I know what you're trying to say.
I don't know the saying of it, but you get what I'm trying to say. It's the same with MMOs. Just the less you pay attention to the MMO, probably better. And then just eventually you'll see that it's in beta and you're like, oh, wow. Oh, cool. I can play it.
I just feel like when you put the start date out there or the release date, that should really be like, our game is done. Now we're just doing final tuning. So we feel comfortable saying this, right? Not like a year into development of a 5-year project and be like, we're going to release this in June of 2024. Like, why do that to yourself right now? Like, just keep hush, wait till your game is done, be like, okay, it's coming out in 6 months, and you're in the final phase of testing.
Oh, well, if I was a betting man, I'd probably say the game's never coming out. I will say
New World, it will, because it's like a done game.
Too much.
They're
like
just trying to
Amazon has the money to eat at this
They
point.
do. I mean, they're fine in that sense. It's just, it will not be, in my mind, it will not be a successful game. I just don't see them being able to turn it around enough to where it's like they're going to draw a wide audience base for that game. But we'll see. Hopefully the changes and the wait is worth it.
All right, so let's speed through these last two yikes so that way we can get to some Katowice.
Everything else.
Yeah, everything else on the show. I bitched about this before on previous episodes. I'm just going to say it one more time. We as people need to be better about what we're doing to Pokemon cards, because we are ruining it for everyone. And I say we as in adults. I love Pokemon. I still play the trading card game. I still collect it occasionally, very, very casually. But sometimes if I'm in the store and I'm down the aisle, I'm like, you know what? I'll buy a pack of baseball cards. I'll buy a pack of Pokemon cards. Whatever makes you feel young, right? Well, Anuj, McDonald's did a promo for the 25th anniversary of Pokemon, which is coming up, I believe, this weekend, with special cards and things like that, special promo cards. Well, just to prove that we can't have nice things, people have went crazy on this, bought all the Happy Meals. Employees were stealing boxes of these cards in the back. Like, you go online and now you have scalpers selling these cards for hundreds, thousands of dollars. They were supposed to be a Happy Meal giveaway for kids. And we're going to steal the cards. We're going to go sell this card for like $50. I don't, like I said, I've been
You're
on
not going to like what I'm about to say. It's a yikes, but I get it. Like, it's a yikes
So,
for
this is what
you just never know in these situations when this shit is going to become ultra valuable for whatever random reason. And Pokemon is at this weird comeback high. Not to say Pokemon ever died, but it's definitely from a
it's
card
second
trading
wind.
standpoint higher than it's ever been in my mind.
I would say the trading card game died for
Yeah.
a little bit there. Like, unless you were like me and you just did it, like, from like the late. I went to Walmart today and I saw, you always go see the card area, and they have a sign there, Nooch, saying if you want to buy cards, Pokemon, baseball, or sports cards, you have to go to customer service now to do it. They don't even put them out anymore.
Like cigarettes and birth control,
No joke. It is. It's
formula is back there now. So
it's gotten that ridiculous to where stores aren't putting it out on the floor anymore because you have people where they'll just go buy all of them. And that's where I think it sucks for people like me, or even I say me, I'm 30 years old. Like, I'm a fucking virgin in this situation, right? But like kids or parents trying to buy their kids cards just to have fun with them. And that's where it's like, look, you want to spend thousands of dollars on like old cards that are collectibles now that aren't even in the rotation for playing because they've updated the game, knock yourself out, right? You're definitely not going to get your money back here in a couple of years when the hype dies down, but knock yourself out. But if you're going around to McDonald's and stealing boxes of Pokemon cards or buying 100 Happy Meals to get these cards, you need to look yourself in the mirror and just ask yourself, where did it go wrong?
What happened here?
What happened to you to take life in this direction?
Yeah, the trading card game for everything. I think cards in general have hit this weird comeback over the last
odd
year and a half, 2 years now, and it will die down again because we've seen it. We've been here for a high point in cards when they became kind of cool in the early 90s. I feel like was kind of that time when cards were Beckett and all that, like everybody wanted that shit, and then it was gone for like 25 years.
And it's like you said, it's everything now. Like I have baseball, hockey cards. They're all gone. Like they don't exist anymore. You go online and then you'll see. It's almost like the newest graphics cards and Pokemon cards just get bought up by scalpers at this point. Like you don't stand a chance if you're just a fan of it.
It's because the value of like current players is really high. It's not just those retired legends. Like a Michael Jordan rookie is not the only card that's worth something in basketball. Like if you're a Luka rookie card, you're worth a good amount of money already, and it's crazy. That's what's causing all this shittiness that you see in all the stores right now.
Yep. All right, give us your last yikes.
This is funny because Saudi Prince, Tim, and I don't want to pronounce his name because I didn't write it down on here, so I don't want to guess at it. He's back in esports, baby. After that whole Neon disaster and everything that happened with Blast Pro and Riot, I believe, as well, was the other initial culprit or tied to him before they all backed out. Well, he's back in esports, Tim. 3.3 billion, or I say esports, back in gaming. $3.3 billion investment. That's billion with a B, with EA, Activision, and Take-Two. And for those of you that don't know, Take-Two is owners of Rockstar and the 2K games, so GTA and all that. 3.3 billion. I haven't heard a peep. There was, you talk about the way Riot got shitted on, definitely the way Blasted, and deservedly so, the way they handled that situation for a while there with the silence. This has come out, and this is a much bigger investment. Nothing. Not a word.
Hey, remember that Hong Kong thing, how everyone was upset about?
And Blizzard probably broke their numbers with BlizzCon this weekend.
Like, and now all of a sudden you have this going on too. It's like, I don't know if it's having two kids now or what. I just don't have the energy to care about it anymore. Maybe I'm
shit. If somebody was offering us 3.3 billion, I don't care if it's
maybe I'm a defeated man. Maybe this is what middle age feels like. I don't know, but
you don't have the good fight in you anymore.
I don't have. I can't fight the good fight anymore, man.
This is as far as I'm willing to take this fight.
Yeah, this is
yikes of the week.
This is a
I will
young man.
Broadcast it for you all to now go make a big fuss about this on Reddit, YouTube, whatever you want to do, Twitter.
Hey, and I'll retweet it for you.
Yeah,
I'll retweet
tagging it. Yeah,
but I'll
give you some love.
This is a young man's battle, and I'm just too old for it. Like
3.3 is a lot of money.
you're not gonna convince them to give
A
that
lot
money
of money.
back. You're not gonna be like, hey, Blizzard, you need to give them back $3.3 billion. Blizzard's gonna be like, no, no,
No, we're fine.
we're okay. We're okay. Someone's gotta pay for those Diablo Immortal servers. Yeah, I mean, good for them, right? Crazy ass prince or not, good for them. If the Saudi
They must have known all the backlash that came to those other groups when it happened. I'm sure this is not like they probably just realized, you know what? Everyone already fought that fight.
And I'll even say this, Anuj, because we're like the number 3 gaming podcast in Jordan and Saudi Arabia. If the prince listens, the DMs are open. The DMs are open. I'll sign it. I don't care anymore. You can buy me. I don't.
you can buy us pretty easily.
I'm at the point now where I'm not here for the moral high ground.
I'm here to retire.
Right. I got 2 kids. All right. Diapers are expensive. I'll take some blood money for that. That's fine. All right. So there are your yikes of the weeks, as we have caught up with 2. Are reoccurring, but not every episode or week segment, as Anuj introduced it a couple episodes ago, the good dude of the week. It was, what was last time? Nerd Street for paying the bill for another TO not paying their staff. Well, this good dude of the week comes from the world of Shopify. So Shopify's CEO, I don't know his name, but we've actually talked about him before. So he is a huge StarCraft fan. And he's even hosted and put up money for StarCraft tournaments in the past to like just bring up awareness for StarCraft. He's now announced that he is making a StarCraft esport team just because this is just a dude with money and a love for StarCraft. Because let me tell you what, no businessman in their right mind would start a StarCraft team unless you love the game.
You mean after they announced they're no longer going to be supporting the game in a couple of years here?
Right. Yeah.
Was that the turning point?
Yeah. If there's ever,
I think this is awesome. I love that he loves the game that much, and if anything, I hope that Blizzard and Activision and these guys see the love that people still have for their IPs, and really, at some point, like another StarCraft has to come out. You would think, right? I mean, you kind of I don't feel like this is going to be a Half-Life 3 situation. Like, I do feel like we'll get another StarCraft at some point. There's still such a big love for that game, and this guy's a prime example of it. What an awesome gesture just to give back to people and competitors of the scene right now. Right, it's probably tough on them. So this is great. Great that he's doing it.
And that's what if I would like to think if I had Saudi Arabian money, I would do the same. Like I would get a Halo
if
team.
Somebody gave us 3.3 billion, Tim, we would be an esports org tomorrow.
Like, you ever wonder what it would be like if Nico and Simple are on the same team? Because you would find out.
I'm calling Cash App tomorrow. Be like, I need a compound.
Where's my sponsorship?
In Texas. Like, this would be a done deal. So, yeah, I would like to think if we were in that situation, we would try to give back in some really cool way for esports, and that's definitely one of them.
Before we get to Katowice, let's just kind of go in chronological order here with BlizzCon. We don't have to go wall to wall with this, even though that wouldn't really be much to talk about.
We could. We have 10-15 minutes. So,
look, I will say this: initial thought for this year's BlizzCon. Now, obviously, it was all online, given COVID and everything. Okay, they knew it was going to be online, though, right? Like they weren't caught off guard. This, I think, so QuakeCon at home, last year's QuakeCon, was somewhat caught off guard because it happened pretty quick, right? Like, COVID hit in March,
relatively soon.
And then QuakeCon's normally in, June or somewhere around there. So, but even that, we talked about it, it was awesome. Like, it was almost more fun doing it at home because you were more involved with it than if you were walking around the venue. QuakeCon did an awesome job moving online. BlizzCon? I don't know. I have here's my tinfoil hat theory. This was going to be online no matter what. between COVID or not, because there was nothing to talk about this year. Like, I don't know what they would have done for an in-person BlizzCon. That would have been
They would have done it. It wouldn't have been an event where like first timers are looking to come to, right? Like you
No.
probably would have had a lot of regulars that go, fans of just Blizzard that are going to experience it, or maybe if you were looking for a cheaper time to go, this would have been
this
it.
could have
But
been summed up in a PowerPoint presentation. There was
Like,
nothing.
There was nothing to expect coming into it, though. We knew Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2 were not going to be released this year. WoW is at the beginning of an expansion, so there's not going to be any major announcements there other than like a cool update that's coming out, but that's an update, right? That could have been a YouTube video that they did,
Right.
and everyone would have been happy with it. And there were some surprises, right? There was like some good to it. We'll still focus on the bad for now, and then maybe get to the good here in a second. But there just wasn't anything coming out in the near future. So that's usually the point of these kinds of things, is like what's coming next. And we've now been on like a 3-year cycle of regurgitated bullshit, right? Like it's the same stuff that we've been talking about since we went, at least, right? Like Diablo, Overwatch 2, like these are all things that we've known about.
Yeah.
So not a whole lot to get me like super amped about, although I did take some positives out of it.
I joked that it was just going to be a weekend of showing concept art, and I wasn't too far off. I felt like it was just a giant weekend. God loves Zoe from Overwatch League. As much as I love to look at her, watching her do arts and crafts for an hour, not so much. Not so much. That one, I don't know how that got through it just
felt like they really had a time slot that they had to fill with
right.
something.
And
like I said, like love her on the desk, great of it, in her job, but that was a little weird.
I don't know who. I don't know. From an esports side of me, maybe if I was like a fanboy or something, sure, but not
a simp or something, possibly.
Yeah, not for me. If you're a simp virgin, maybe, but not for me. I also we'll stick on the theme of making fun of BlizzCon for now, but then, like you said, we'll talk about the good. They had Metallica perform there. Did you see what happened on Twitch? Now, obviously, this was on YouTube, this was on Twitch and everything. Twitch being Twitch, I'll give them credit, Anuj. They don't waver. They don't play favorites unless you're a tit. Look, if Metallica had tits, maybe. If they were a titty streamer, maybe this wouldn't happen. But unfortunately for them, they're a bunch of old dudes. So they don't waver when it comes to being old guys. Metallica, Twitch ended up dubbing over their performance in fear of getting DMCA'd. So obviously Twitch is like this hard, no rule, like no fuss about it, where you can't play licensed music or you're going to get, in trouble. So they dubbed over Metallica's performance. I have the audio here. Let me see if I can't play it so everyone can hear it. Hold on. So that's, if you heard that is what people heard while watching Metallica headbang and, play, I gotta assume, Enter Sandman or one of their classics. That's what
like
Twitch heard.
Anime trailer soundtrack over Metallica. Like they could have at least found something. It's weird though, like because Metallica was the one performing, so wouldn't the rights be like okay? I don't know. I just felt like this. They knew this shit was online. Everybody knew that. So I'm
not gonna pretend I know the rules of, DMCA and all that. Who knows?
It's just weird to me when they're the artist that's performing like their own music.
And they're getting paid to perform it. It's not like Blizzard is stealing their music on their stream. Like, I feel like there was enough checks and balances there that they probably could have gotten away with it, but at least it made for a funny story. And then last but not least for me, and this is where I kind of feel like Blizzard mailed it in this year. Like, I really feel like Blizzard mailed in this BlizzCon because you didn't have any of the big tournaments like you had before. You had San Francisco Shock versus the World for Overwatch League, which, you know, I'm not like a huge over the top Shock fan, so I didn't care about that. It wasn't like a World Cup or anything like that. You didn't have like all the arena tournaments or like, you know, the big BlizzCon championship for each of these games that they have. You didn't have that.
Like the esports side was like non-existent.
Yeah, like they really didn't highlight anything esports related. And I also feel like one thing BlizzCon always does really good every year is like the exclusive BlizzCon merch. And this year, being the 30th anniversary for Blizzard, they mailed it in. I'm talking generic polo with the 30-year anniversary logo slapped on it and like being $80 for a polo.
110 for like a light jacket.
Like, I don't...
Yeah, or a zip-up jacket.
Yeah, and like $80 for a hoodie with the logo on it. Like, I'm like, I felt like that was really, I was bummed. I was looking for,
It almost felt like people were attending this in person with those kind of prices, right? Because a lot of times you do it out of excitement. You're at the event.
You can convince someone.
You're willing to do it. But I'm sitting here on my computer chair at home being like, $80 for a polo?
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like when you're there, oh, okay, it's $70 for this. You know what? I'm at BlizzCon. I'm doing it.
I mean, my only thing that I think of when I see that is like, they know that we have a Timmy for, you know, highest price merch. And so they're looking to get a nomination. They want to get on the list with the show. I get it. You know, like it is what it is, but enough with the negative, Tim. I want to talk about some of the positives because I did find some positives here, and I liked them. I liked what I saw from a couple of the games. I think World of Warcraft made a good impression on me. The big 9.1 post, like the first big patch after the game is released, the new expansion is released. They announced some really cool stuff within WoW, like a raid style Mythic Plus with like 8 bosses. You know, a new zone, obviously the new raid. So some fun stuff there with some good changes, but that's not, again, that could have been like a really good YouTube video or its own announcement, and that would have been fine. But I think for the classic fans, the bigger announcement being the Burning Crusade coming. That's, you know, a really loved expansion for the most part. Introduced a lot of new mechanics, was the first big expansion for World of Warcraft. And so I think for the classic folks, you know, hopefully they see this as a positive because it's been pretty lackluster for them since launch. So I hope that, you know, this kind of reinvigorates a lot of them or gives them some good content. But I thought that was pretty cool. You know, TBC coming out was such a big part of our gaming time.
Yeah, going through the dark portal and everything. I'm excited for that. I'll tell you what I'm also excited for though, because I never really got a chance to play it, was Diablo 2. I think everyone always knew Diablo 2 remake was around the corner somewhere, right? Like I thought it was going to be announced last year, it wasn't. So being announced this year, super excited for that. I know a lot of people are upset that they've kind of announced that Diablo 4 isn't coming out anytime soon. They announced a new rogue class for it. But for me, I think Diablo 2 remake's good enough. Like that's going to get me to Diablo 4. I didn't play a whole lot of Diablo 2 when it was out. I was more of a snobby nose FPS player back then, so I wasn't a Diablo guy. So I'm looking forward to doing that.
I agree. Like I was 15 when Diablo 2 came out, and I was so heavy into Counter-Strike and then WoW not too long after that I never really played Diablo. I played it, but not enough to be like, oh, I remember the game and I love the game. Like I played it a few times casually. I had some friends that were diehards with it that always tell me about how great of a game it was and I should have played. So this will be an opportunity for you and I to kind of experience it for the first time in that sense. So yeah, that'll be fun. You know, it's sad because I know this is just a filler for them to get us to Diablo 4 at this point. Like Diablo 4 is clearly not ready and it's clearly not coming out anytime soon. So this is supposed to help you buy that time that they need to get it ready. And look, it'll be cool. Like it'll be fun. I'm just sad that we're that far away from Diablo 4 to where they have to release another game in between. But this will be a good filler. The fact that I haven't dove into it before, makes it exciting for me at least.
And then for Overwatch fans, I think the most exciting thing that you got out of BlizzCon this year was the joy of waiting for next year's BlizzCon when maybe they'll announce something for you. Because there was nothing.
There really wasn't a lot. They showed off a couple of maps there. I'll tell you what I did like. Okay, so there are some positives for people that are waiting for Overwatch 2. They are adding this whole hero mission thing, which seems to be like, I don't know, 50 to 100 missions or so that they mentioned that will be in the game, and unique in that way, and some content to do with your friends outside of matchmaking. I do think that's pretty cool. Obviously the story mode, we already knew that was there, that's also going to make for some fun PvE content within that world, which I think that game would have been like a cool MMO or something had they made an Overwatch MMO. Like, there's just a lot of life to that world. So I do think those are neat. In terms of the gameplay that they were showing off, like, again, it still looks like Overwatch to me in this truest sense. Like, I just don't see much of a difference. I know they talk about sounds and all that being different, but those are tweaks that you put into your first game if you want to implement those. Like, I don't think that's that big of a deal. The other thing that I like, though, is the revised talent tree. The revised talent trees and the way that they're doing those will now make for some fun, unique gameplay within whatever meta there is, because right now, like, it's just, hey, if these are the characters that you're choosing and there's not a lot of diversity to it, well, maybe you're building those characters differently or you're using their abilities in a different way. I think that'll keep people engaged a little bit longer. It won't get dry as fast because you are messing around with talent trees and metas and what works for you and what fits your play style. I like that. It adds another feature into that game, which, again, to us, or to a lot of people, I feel like it just was getting a little stale. This is a nice little unique twist to that, and I think it can kind of constantly evolve as they maybe change talents or, mess around with it a little bit more. But I do like that concept. So I'm excited a little bit more now for Overwatch 2 than I was before BlizzCon, but not excited for the wait time, and really it doesn't look like it's coming anytime soon.
And they also announced that they're getting rid of 2 CP, so 2 control point maps, which, are notoriously the least liked game mode in any aspect, esports or casual, for Overwatch. I'm not a fan of like getting rid of things in games, especially when it comes to like Overwatch, which in my opinion, it's not like it's overflowing with content in the game, right? Like, it's a very good game and everything like that, but it's like, if you're adding a new game mode, maybe having another game mode to pick from or play through, 2CP wouldn't be that bad if you didn't get it as much, right? So I don't know if removing it in ranked play, I don't know how long that's going to last, right? They're not taking it all out of the game. It's just for ranked play and competitive play, they're getting rid of it. So they can
until there's a map that they probably feel is worthy enough to, like, okay, hey, this is worth putting in comp play. Like,
we'll see how that goes. It's just for a game that wasn't overflowing with game modes and things like that. We haven't even played this new game mode that they're replacing it with to be like, oh, thank God 2CP's gone. Well, it's like the grass isn't always greener on the other side. So if I can be pessimistic here, like, that new game mode might suck just as hard. So I think I would rather have multiple game modes rather than just a few, unless they're all just home runs, which is never the case.
Taking it from the Call of Duty approach, right? You see them, although Overwatch is not going to be an annual release.
Well, then that's the difference, right?
My guess is, like, they implement some of these back with the right maps or something. But yeah, I think overall there were some positives to what I saw with Overwatch, like Junkrat holding on to 2 freaking grenade launchers if you do it, or what's his name, Soldier being able to move with his shield now, and things like that. It makes a little bit of a uniqueness to the to the game that wasn't there before, and hopefully that creativity kind of comes out in competitive play, but only time will tell.
And that's pretty much BlizzCon this year. Not a whole lot to write home about, in all honesty.
it just felt like we got a bunch of updates. Like, hey guys, this is what we're doing, but we got no definite release dates. I don't even think we got a release date for Diablo Immortal.
Which that's
Was
mind blowing.
like that's actually pretty crazy.
Let's see here.
I'm
Google
making sure.
learned that Diablo Immortal blah, 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 does not look like there is like an official release date, and that game's been announced now since 2018. So, and I get that. Look, we played Diablo Immortal last year at BlizzCon. It's not bad. Like, if you are needing a good phone, new game on your phone that you want to kill some time with, it's not bad.
Like, you're at work, you're trying to get paid to take a shit. Like, this is a good game to play during that time.
Right. It's a good bathroom game.
It did feel good. It did feel good to play it, but
to not have a release
it's
date.
a freaking mobile game. Like, get it out already.
That you're already
Jesus,
copying
why is
like
it taking
half of
so
it from
long?
another mobile game. So I don't know what they're reinventing for that one, but oh well. We'll I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Maybe at next year's BlizzCon they'll announce any type of release date or anything like that. Moving on to Counter-Strike, we did have Katowice. The group stage has came and went. Playoffs start this Friday. So we'll do a playoff preview next episode. But real quick, Anuj, any quick takeaways from Katowice thus far?
I'll give you my disappointments because I think those are probably the easiest ones to remember. The G2 getting eliminated by Gambit in the lower bracket finals there to advance to the playoffs. Like, I would have loved to see G2 instead of Gambit in the playoff round coming up. They continue to, unfortunately just disappoint, and I don't know what it is, right? Like, they lost to Spirit in the first round. Very winnable game, although Spirit did win their bracket ultimately, and we'll talk about them in a second. But G2 being just a disappointment to me for sure. Like, I don't know where it's going wrong. And now I'm starting to get a little worried of, are they going to figure it out? Right. Obviously two other disappointments I want to get to real quick. OG has been doing this for like over a year now with this lineup, having Alexi B, having NBK, having Valde, like they have all these names on that roster, and they got eliminated like first round, and it's just one of those things where I don't know if they're also going to figure it out. Like, G2 is still at least early in their experiment, right? So when I say I'm getting worried about them, it's at a much different level than OG, who can't seem to figure it out. They haven't figured it out, and they've continued to be a disappointment. So I expect to see changes within OG's lineup sooner rather than later, because they're paying way too much money for this team to have the results that they're having. And then lastly for me, Tim, and this is not a big one. I mean, it's not, not killer, but FaZe getting eliminated before the playoffs in a selfish way with Kerrigan there. I wanted to see this team in the playoff round and find early success, because recently roster changes haven't bloomed into early success for any of the teams that we've seen. Like, everybody's had a lot of hurdles to overcome, and really not much different for FaZe, losing to Furia, losing to Liquid 2-0 early on in the first round. So disappointment there, but doesn't mean a whole lot. First tournament with Kerrigan. Twist is still new. So I think they will put it together better than some of the other recent big changes we've seen.
Yeah, I'm a little the same with you. G2, the only reason I'm even concerned, like you said, this is my too early, too soon type of opinion here. But it's like with Nico, where it's almost just like he is an amazing player, but we've seen it on every other team. He is amazing at what he does, but he's not it just seems like he can't elevate his team past to where they need to be, right? Whether it be on,
the only time that they were like consistently great was that period of time on FaZe when they had Olaf, Guardian, like they had a
right.
5-man star lineup, right? Like, all of these guys
ago
were still at a very high level of play.
So
but it has been a disappointment for most of his career in terms of team results, unfortunately.
Right. Yeah, so that's my too soon concern for G2 right now. I was getting early on, Anuj. I was 100% ready to come on here and talk about not the trade, but the move of Twist leaving Liquid. and the fact that, people forget that that wasn't like a roster move, right? These recent moves that Liquid has had, Nitro retiring from CS, moving to Valorant, Twists leaving. These moves aren't like from the org level. These are from player level. So like they're obviously like the confidence in the team is not that high. And I was ready to come on here and being like, Liquid's in trouble. But I'm more than happy to report that I am dumb, and they performed very well, making their way into the playoffs. But I am pleasantly surprised with Liquid. Like, for a team that honestly had every excuse not to perform well, it's like they're looking. I mean, they beat Navi 2-1 with over 600,000 viewers watching.
I mean, same thing with Vitality, right? They beat Vitality 2-1 as well. Like they haven't
and
had
they beat
an easy
FaZe
road.
2-0 before that. Like, I mean, like every excuse.
Very difficult, like
yeah.
bracket for them to break through, and to do it the way they did, super convincing,
Yep.
right? Like, this was the biggest move of the group in terms of name, right? Liquid getting Fallen. Like, it was huge in terms of name. But in terms of out of the recent moves that have taken place, it's not the biggest, like, it's a skill decrease, right? Like,
Right.
going from Twist to Fallen, you're losing a little bit there. Like, Twist is a better player at this point in his career. But like G2 getting Nico, FaZe getting Kerrigan and Twist, these teams have made changes where you expect them to do better now. We'll see more with FaZe as we go here. But I guess my point is they have gelled so well on Liquid so early. And you got to remember, like, it's not just Fallen, but Grim is an inexperienced player. Like, he still is an inexperienced player. He's got some under his belt now, but he was coming from Tier 2 Counter-Strike and only had a name for himself during the COVID era. Never really showed anything on LAN, and we'll still have to prove that at some point. But they've integrated these two players seamlessly, and the rest of the team is stepping up around them. You couldn't have asked for some tougher tests that Liquid has faced, and now they bought themselves, an entrance into the semifinals, and that's awesome. Like, super unexpected, but that is a great start and a great confidence booster after you make a major change. And you can't say enough about him. Like, it's really just impressive. And I know we were both kind of rooting for this to work out, right? Like, we need an NA team outside of the inconsistent EG, right? EG always seems to find their way up there and then falter and never win anything. So we needed another NA team to kind of boost that, and Liquid's holding that ground. Like, they're holding it for now, but this is an awesome tournament for them. You're playing in Europe, you're playing against the best teams. It's not like this is an NA-EU event. So this is something that will hopefully carry over and kind of lead them throughout this year.
And also, just to give a shout out to one other team on my side, or at least something that surprised me and I think surprised everyone, was Team Spirit. I mean,
Spirit, Virtus Pro, and Gambit, Tim. Like, all three of them. Spirit obviously winning their bracket, but Gambit and VP both advancing. Like,
Spirit moved on to the playoffs by beating Astralis 2-1. They beat them on the third map on Dust 2. Dust 2, where normally Astralis is very good in. They beat them 16-1.
But what do you always say about Dust 2, Tim?
I know, Nooch. I know.
What do you always say about Dust 2?
Anything can happen on Dust 2.
Anything can happen on
there
Dust 2.
There is no favorites on Dust 2.
There is no surprises anymore on Dust 2. And Spirit to come out and, first of all, win the first half 15-0, okay? Astralis' only round win was a pistol win in this matchup. I was really hoping for the 16-0 there because they deserved it, right? You put a 15-0 first half on Astralis, you deserve it. You deserve that 16-0. Spirits looked really good, surprising. Like, it's a weird playoff situation we're in, and I just want to jump into that real quick with you, Tim, because our quarterfinal matchups are set. We do have Gambit versus Navi in the first round, and for me, you talk about a path to winning this. Navi is set up on what could possibly be the easiest playoff route in terms of ranking systems, right? If you're going off of rankings, yes, Spirit and Gambit are both performing well, but where they are in the rankings today, Navi has to beat Gambit in the first round. Spirit in the second round, and then obviously could have a potential matchup with a Strawless, Liquid, or a VP there in the finals. But the path is set up for Navi to make this finals, and if they don't make it, massive disappointment for that team.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about the playoffs and everything next episode because, again, they don't start till Friday. So teams have a week to kind of mentally get their heads right and get ready for the playoffs. But, I mean, overall, Katowice never disappoints. I really wish this was on LAN. This would have been...
Yeah. Dude, VP Astralis in this first round of the playoffs coming up, like that would have been a banger to see it land, especially in Katowice. Like that would have been awesome. It's going to be at least a fun playoff bracket because there are so many underdogs, and I'm excited for us to kind of dive into that and see what we really have in front of us next episode. But it does have me pumped leading into this playoff bracket, and what groups was as online as it could have been. These are the results of, like, you want to say, oh, what has online done to Counter-Strike? Look at the groups for Katowice, and that kind of tells you how this whole last year has gone.
And for some disappointments for me, obviously Cloud9. Cloud9 winning one match this entire event against Movie Star Riders. I thought Fnatic came out very flat. I almost think Fnatic is mentally done with it.
And none of these teams even made like the tournament in that sense.
No,
right?
yeah, they play in.
Yeah, like play in stuff that just didn't go out work for them. And you're right, like Cloud9 and Fnatic both. Like Fnatic has been struggling, and it's continuing here. And then Cloud9, we've yet to see any success with this lineup. Like really none. And that's kind of that. Like you could say what you want about them changing out Woxic, and we talked about these crazy contracts. So now we know what they're making, and this is the downside of knowing what you're making. You have bigger expectations than you had before. Names like Colossus all of a sudden get made when you kind of start to show these salaries, and for these guys, this is it just continued like just blow after blow. And I don't know how long we continue to wait before they make another change, but to not be able to make it into this grouping, that sucks. Like that sucks for them pretty bad.
You at least want to start seeing them perform better against teams that, you would consider a top tier matchup. But even against these top tier teams, like they're just still like they're not doing anything that would convince you to be like, oh, these guys are legit. They're turning things around. They still just always look like they're on the struggle bus. So I just, as a Cloud9 fan, it's just so lackluster. It's such an unexciting roster where you had all the excitement when it was put together, where you're like, oh my God, even I was like, I'm not necessarily 100% bought in, but I'm excited. Like they at least built the hype around it, and it's just really came out flat. So who knows?
No,
who knows where Cloud9 goes from here?
Like that's a whole episode, honestly, of like what's going on with Cloud9 CS:GO. Like I don't think anybody has a damn answer there, honestly. It hasn't worked at all up until this point. You haven't seen glimpses of success to give you any sort of hope right now.
All right, well, we will preview the playoffs for Katowice on Wednesday's show, and we'll also have a special guest, I believe, for Wednesday. So that's called a tease. Teasing forward to Wednesday's show. But let's get into some e-news, as we have a packed e-news to get to catch up on. But before we get to that, let me tell you about e-news' sponsor in Philly Esports. Best friends of the show, based out of Philadelphia, but that doesn't mean you have to be in Philly to partake in their monthly events. March's event on March 20th, so you have almost an entire month to get you and one friend together, because it is a 2v2 gunfight tournament. March 20th, cash prizes are involved. Go to phillyesports.net to sign up and check out the rules. 2v2, you, one other person, sign up. Who knows? Maybe this is the start of your esports professional career, and it can all be thanks to Philly Esports. phillyesports.net. Go ahead and check them out. All right. E-news. Some of this we've discussed, so I'll just kind of run through it in news, and you stop me when you want. But as we said, Kerrigan does return to FaZe Clan. Apex, we did forget to mention this in Katowice news. Apex took a break and then returns. I think he missed one match. That's all he needed. He said
whatever it was, hopefully he's good and back to celebrate his birthday. So
it's like he was constipated and he was like, I just need to take a break. And then he was back, missed a match, and he's back. So I've never seen that before. A player saying he's taking a break for personal reasons, misses one match, and then comes back. So I guess good for him.
Broke up with his girlfriend or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. In Overwatch news, large ban wave in Korea. I forget the number. It was like 10,000 players or something like that. But a huge ban wave for Korean servers. So it just goes to show, even with games and anti-cheats, a lot of cheaters out there. Overwatch League revealed their schedule. We'll probably break that down here in a future episode. But I believe it's set to start. Did you see when it's set to start? I think it's like April or something like that. But I got the whole email and everything. Yeah, April 16th. Friday, April 16th, the Overwatch League kicks off. Houston, Dallas. So what are they calling it? The fight for the Lone Star State or something. Houston, Dallas. It's like the one match the league markets itself around every year. So, but that's set to start April. And then Overactive Media, owners of Toronto Defiant and Team Ultra from the Call of Duty League, teams to reveal plans of their new stadium, opening up in 2025 in Toronto. Looks pretty badass.
Yeah, it really does.
So
really does. That'll be a venue that I know we are going to want to visit.
Yeah,
it looks incredible. I mean, I hope that's how it all plays out. But
knock on wood that it happens. 4 years to build a stadium. I'll say this, seems like a long time. I feel like sports stadiums get put up like in the summer, but I feel like 4 years is taking their time with that building. Maybe things are different in Canada. I don't know. But Texas Rangers built that new stadium in like a year. So
yeah, a couple of years. Took them 2 years, right?
Yeah, maybe. But 4 years seems like a lot can happen in 4 years to make it not work out. So
ask like 200,000 people for an esports stadium.
Ask Philly how their esports stadium's going. In Valorant, NRG acquires Android from Anbox, Drop Infinite after his recent comments. Basically, I don't know if we talked about this last episode or not, but he was just an idiot. An idiot.
Stupid.
Just 100% as a professional player, 100% an idiot.
He went into a random person's Twitch chat. I say random, somebody that killed him in Tarkov or whatever.
Yeah, someone kills him in Tarkov. He finds them on Twitch and starts harassing them in Twitch chat. So
like
energy drops.
Like just shit that he knows better.
Just an idiot.
Like it's just dumb. So anyways, they kicked him. Somehow they were able to acquire Android. I don't know how in the world they negotiated a buyout with Anbox because he was by far their best player. So and like he was one of the first two announcements with him and Ye. So I don't understand how this happened, but good for him. I mean, this might be a better situation that he's walking into here. It is definitely a better situation that he's walking into. I just don't know how it happened, but
maybe we'll get Android on the show. See what's up.
Yeah.
Aim Labs, that game on Steam to practice aiming, will cover the winnings for MMG players from Pulse Tourney. So Pulse being the event that wasn't paying their staff. Also looks like it wasn't paying the winnings, so Aim Labs stepped up. Another good dude of the week to cover the cost there. So good on Aim Labs. And we do have some teams that have finally qualified for NA Stage 1 of the Valorant Masters. Envy, Sentinels, Immortals, and XSET all end up qualifying. Stage 2 finals are actually tomorrow, but again, the winner it doesn't necessarily matter who wins, Envy or Sentinels. They all are moving on. The top 4 qualified. So this is just bragging
Sentinels, right? So that was like at least for them.
They beat for the longest time. Sentinels, Envy never beat Sentinels. Well, they beat them earlier in this event, so now they're rematching in the finals tomorrow. But we'll see. Stage 3 teams who fail to qualify still have one more chance, so that's where you're going to have FaZe. Any other team and any outside of that. T1, they lost in the round of 64 or something. They're not looking very good. But again, they just made a roster move, so I don't know what the expectations were there anyways. People were like, whoa, T1 lost early again. I'm like, well, they sucked before, and then they made a roster move. So typically when you make a roster move, you're going to have some type of period of adjusting. So people were acting surprised, and I thought it was pretty, well, yeah, no shit, they're going to suck for now. Call of Duty COD Super Week started today. Atlanta and Florida both won their matches, so had to skip last week. They're smashing it all in 1 week, so 1 week of all Call of Duty action.
And we'll do a deep dive, guys. I know it's been a while. We haven't really jumped into COD yet, even with the season starting. I'm thinking and Tim, if I'm off here, let me know. But this Sunday episode, I think, will probably be a pretty solid COD breakdown. So if you're looking for a catch up there, Sunday's episode should be a pretty wide COD breakdown for you.
Not having a show last week hurts the momentum because we weren't able to talk week 1, and by the time today rolled around, it was 2 weeks ago. So just bad timing is all. But we'll definitely talk some more COD come Sunday. And Overwatch League's Mark Ein is how I'm going to say that name, owner of the Washington Justice, kind of teased that he's looking into making an entrance into the COD League. For another DC franchise, that is. So eventually, whenever they do expansion, I guess expect one in DC.
And look, that was, I think, the biggest fear for a lot of people, or any of these investors that were involved with the Overwatch League, would be discouraged to expand into other franchise leagues, especially with Activision, right? It just seemed I think we even probably speculated that it would hurt the chance that, that's the worst thing that could happen with Overwatch League, is people get scared of spending money within esports. I think this is a real big positive sign that he still sees the opportunity and potential in front of him, and with the same company that's, having a tough time now with the league that he's currently involved in. So I think that's a pretty good positive to see that.
Only time will tell how successful these franchise leagues are. Right now, we're all laughing at Overwatch League and the owners in it, but 10 years down the road, maybe it all works out for them, right? Maybe because it got their foot in the door with something else Blizzard is doing, or who knows? Who knows? You never know. I guess only time will tell. But like you said, the fact that he's interested is a good sign, anyways. In Dota news, it was announced starting March 25th on Netflix, Dota 2 is getting its own anime series. So Netflix is getting, we talked about it a couple episodes ago, they're getting a ton of video game series coming up there via anime and live action. Dota is one of them. I'm pretty excited. I'm not
100% count me in on this.
Yeah.
This is gonna be that world has so much that you can explore that's untouched and untapped, and I would love to see more video games do this that have the ability to do so because of either how long the game has been out or the world that it's in and the number of characters that they are. There is so much possibility with these MOBAs. There's
I'm not
100 characters in there,
I'm not a huge anime guy. I would call a basic bitch when it comes to anime and news. I like Cowboy Bebop. I like Dragon Ball Z. I like Gundam Wing. If it was on Toonami or Cartoon Network, I probably liked it. Anything outside of that, it's not for me.
Yeah.
But
I'm the same way. I watch. There's some popular ones that I've watched, but I'm definitely not a snob where I'm watching, or I shouldn't say a snob, but I don't have an opinion on a lot of them because I haven't seen most of them, right? But if I like something, I watch it, and this is something that intrigues
Dota,
me.
Definitely excited for.
Yeah, for sure.
In Fortnite, Ryu and Chun-Li from Street Fighters are announced to be characters in there. So
don't fix the game. Just keep adding characters. That's the way to go.
And now it's rumored that maybe Peter Griffin from Family Guy is going to be added. The characters they add in Fortnite make no goddamn sense, Anuj.
It's how they make the money, dude. It's huge. They don't need them to make sense. It doesn't matter. There's no Fortnite's done nothing to create a story. Just like how Dota is making this series and a world out of a game. Fortnite's done the complete opposite. They don't give a shit about that. It's just how much money can Epic Games make? We haven't ever made a good game before. We don't know how to handle the one that we have. We got lucky with the one that we have because it was not even the original game. So capitalize. And that's kind of what you see. I mean, they're making a killing, dude. All these little sponsorship deals with all these movies, like they're paying them millions to get their characters in these games.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, I get. Yeah, it's like it's advertising for like Street. This is more advertising for Street Fighter than anything.
yeah, same thing with like Marvel and all
Right.
that. Like, you don't think Marvel paid a pretty penny to be in Fortnite? Like, that was, all these
crazy.
guys are paying them a ton.
It's crazy. In other fighting game news, new Mortal Kombat movie coming to HBO Max. First off, anyone who listens to the show knows Mortal Kombat is my fighting game of choice. I remember playing it on Sega at my cousin's house when I was 6, 7 years old. Loved it. It has such a soft spot for me. That being said, the movie doesn't look good. I'm going to love it unconditionally. But if we're all being honest with ourselves, the movie doesn't look that good.
Yeah, I
Is
mean,
this a safe place? Can I say that?
Yeah, like, but it's not meant to be, I don't think, like a Scorsese film either, Like, if you watch the original Mortal Kombat, it came out in 95. If you watch that movie sucked.
Yeah,
But
I just
I
thought
loved
we've
it.
turned the corner where like video game stuff can also be shot in a way to be also serious.
It can, and this has a darker tone or darker feel to this movie than like the original, which was like super cheeseball-y, right? Like
See,
the
I feel like
original
this
one was
also,
like
though,
really cheesy.
Just from the one trailer I saw, the Red Band trailer, it just looks like they just took every cliche from the game, so people could be like, "Oh my God, he did it! He did the thing!
Well, yeah,
he did
but
the
that's
thing!"
why I'm excited. That's why I'm excited.
Ah.
It's definitely gonna be. It is not gonna rate high on Rotten Tomatoes.
No.
Right? Like, this is not
The
one of those
critic
that's gonna
score-
get a super high rating.
This will be where like the critic score gives it a 30, but the viewer score is like a 98.
like 79. Yeah, it'll be like polar opposites there.
Right, it's going to be awesome.
I'm either way. I'm excited for it. Like, it's a movie that,
Hey, quick sidebar away from esports because we're on Netflix shows or just movies right now. On Netflix, there's a new movie out called I Care a Lot. I'm gonna save you time. It's fucking stupid.
Can I double sidebar this?
Please.
Okay. Right before you had put that tweet out, because I copied that tweet, I screenshotted it. Corey had just messaged me. One of our friends, Corey, had just messaged me maybe like an hour before you tweeted that. He's like, "Dude, you got to go watch this new movie on Netflix. It's in my top 15."
No
And
way.
then you tweeted that, and I started cracking up, and I screenshotted it, and I sent it to him, and I go, "Well, now I'm confused as fuck.
It is.
Like, do I want to put my time into this
It
or
is.
no?"
So I will tell you this: the first like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, on the edge of your seat, thrilling, amazing, and then it's almost like the writers were like, "Oh shit, we're like right up against the deadline, guys," and they just like let the intern finish the script. It is the dumbest movie I've ever seen.
I almost feel like I need to watch it now to like have my own
there are
assessment of this.
so many plot holes, so many things that make absolutely no sense, where like the first half of the movie was like, where are they going to take this? And the second half of the movie was like, what? It is just don't and the reason I say this is because I feel like as a host of a podcast, this is my public service. It's number 1 on Netflix right now. So we watched it. Terrible. It's the worst movie I've watched in a very, very long time.
Yeah, I almost feel like I have to watch it now,
You know that
or either put like a straw poll out there and just see what the general consensus is.
I mean,
because
so again,
I'm
though,
confused by both of y'all's takes.
that's
now.
one where Rotten Tomato, if you go to Rotten Tomato, the viewer score, like the critic score, I think is like a 60 or 70. the viewer score is like a 30. Like
Oh, God.
like I think I'm in the majority here. It's a dumb movie. A dumb movie. All right, let's get back here to E-News real quick. Where were we? Mortal Kombat movie.
Smash Bros.
Smash Bros. At the Nintendo Direct announced a new character from Xenoblade, which I think is like their third character from Xenoblade Saga. Just another anime person in the game. Pyra and Mithra. So it's kind of like a Zelda Sheik kind of deal back in the day where it was one character but can change. So it's that same gist there.
Character looks badass though.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, in the release video at least. I was
Got
like,
Hungry
damn.
Box in trouble.
Yeah.
Hungry Box was making jokes about her breasts and womanly features, and had to apologize because it came off sexist, and he's not about that, and just wants to make people feel comfortable. Listen here, H-Box. Don't apologize for that. Nintendo knows what they're doing. Nintendo and all these guys who make these chicks with like double D boobs and like extra
a skirt that doesn't even go down to mid-thigh.
You don't have to apologize for pointing that out. We all know it. Nintendo knows it. Everyone
That's like
knows
saying
it.
you watch anime and never noticed that before.
Right. Yeah, like, why do all these females in fighting games have exceptionally bouncy breasts? Like they're just filled with air. It's like you don't gotta apologize, H-Box. It's okay. Daigo wins the Capcom Pro Tier Season Finals with a broken finger. The man is a machine. Unreal.
Wait, isn't he like 39 or something too?
He might be in his 40s at this point.
Like he's up there, and this dude's still taking home trophies, man. That is badass. That is like motivational. So
You're
good-
right,
good for him.
39. He turns 40 May 19th.
That's crazy, dude. Like 39 years old, broken finger, still taking home titles. So, and he's touched my chair, so I feel good about
That
this
is
whole
true.
thing.
He sat in the chair you are sitting in right now.
I'm about to eBay it here soon when I get rid of it. That's going to be the title.
Probably worth something. 39 years old. It's still a chance for us. As long as he keeps winning, there's always a chance for us.
That's true.
That's the key takeaway. You want to know something weird? According to Wikipedia, his career prize money earnings, $175,000.
Yeah. Hopefully he's made his money in sponsorship
Yeah,
deals.
FGC won't can't retire on FGC. That's
No.
that's for sure.
Considering he's been playing for 18 years, so that's like an average of like 10K a year.
Yeah, not the best, but you know what? Like you said, I'm sure sponsorship help out. All right, I believe that's it. Thank you so much for tuning in on the podcast, on Twitch, on YouTube. If the stream was effing up, I blame my internet.
I think it was.
I mean, I'm sure it is. It looks like Streamlabs.
I kept
is-
going on to the stream and it was like jacked up.
yeah.
So if you are watching, sorry if it wasn't.
Go
a
check
great
the
experience
podcast
for you.
out
Yeah.
on Spotify, iTunes, whatever you want. But that's it. That does it for episode 307. It's done. It's in the books. Thank you so much. Thank you to Alt and Philly Esports for sponsoring the show. We will be back Wednesday night talking some Katowice playoffs and some other stuff. Possibly having a guest on the show.
If you're looking for some bets this week, go check out our Esports Advisors episode that we just posted here yesterday or day before. But it'll give you picks for the whole week. So go check it out and bet responsibly.
Have fun with that. But until then, follow us on Twitter at The Center Ring and join our Discord. Be a part of the conversation there. For Anuj, I'm Tim. We'll see ya.